Hi guys, what's up and welcome to this week's video. So this week I'm going to be reviewing the Nothing Phone 3, which is a very unique kind of phone. It's been developed in London and it's a phone that's designed to help you minimize doom scrolling on your phone, which is basically when you just pick up your phone and just start scrolling on social media for no damn reason. The unique thing about this phone is that it has a Glyph Matrix screen at the back, which is an LED lighting kind of screen, which allows you to access important tools. So I've been using this phone for the past couple of weeks, so let's get straight into the review. So firstly, let's talk about the display and interface of the phone. So the display of this phone is 6.67 inches, which is slightly smaller than other flagship phones, but I would still say it's a pretty decent size. The corners of the phone are slightly rounded and you also have very thin bezels. You also have a fingerprint scanner at the bottom, which works quite well. And you also have the option of face unlock too. So overall, first impressions of the display are pretty good. So you have two buttons on the left, which are your volume buttons, and you can also control whether you want to put your phone on silent, loud, that kind of stuff from there, which is something that I personally love about Android. I think it's just a bit more difficult to do on Apple iPhones. And you also have two buttons on the right, so the top one being the power on button and the unlock button. And you also have a unique button at the bottom there, which is the essentials button. And what that basically does is if you hold it down, you can record a voice memo and it will save it down to the same place. If you press it down once, you can add a note and it kind of saves all these things down to one place and lets you organize them. So that is an interesting feature. I think some people can definitely make good use out of it. I just didn't find myself using it a lot because I have my notes app and I have my voice recorder app. Also, something that was a bit annoying, and I think companies should really consider this before they just start putting buttons on the sides, is that having this button here on the side, whenever I put my phone in like a stand kind of situation to record content, or in the car, you know, for Google Maps and that kind of stuff, it annoyingly presses this essential button down and then it just starts recording a voice note. So that gets in the way a lot. I understand that companies want to put additional buttons to make things easier, and it's a great thought, but I think they should really consider when you put your phone in a phone holder, which is quite a common experience for, you know, the average consumer. And I think the way they can get around that is that maybe you have to double tap to kind of activate it, because then if you're putting it in a holder, then it won't activate. Also, this phone comes in two colors, so you have black or white. I got it in the color black, but white also looks pretty good. And something that I love about this phone is that you can get 16 GB of RAM, which makes this phone very, very fast, which I will get into a bit later on. And you also have 512 GB of storage. The phone is also reasonably lightweight. It weighs 218 grams, and it's also IP68 water and dust resistant, which is great. The front is protected by Gorilla Glass 7i, and this phone is of course an Android phone, and it comes with 7 years of Android updates. When you switch on the screen, you have a 1.5K resolution and a 120 Hz adaptive refresh rate. The peak brightness goes up to 4,500 nits, and it also runs on Qualcomm Snapdragon 8S Gen 4. So personally, the screen is great for everyday tasks, using apps, videos, and that kind of stuff. And something that I noticed with this phone is that it is super fast. It is lightning fast. Everything is very quick. From like swiping up, it's almost instant. Also, exiting out of apps, opening apps, everything just runs very, very fast. So that's the front of the phone. If you look at the back, it's very unique. Firstly, you have this kind of asymmetrical camera display, but it kind of looks good, I think, with the rest of the design. It feels like something out of Black Mirror. So if you get a notification, for example, a text message, you'll get a certain pattern of an LED light display. Also, the patterns change depending on what kind of notification, and you can also tweak a lot of things in the settings. So if you want certain things to be shown, if you don't want certain things to be shown, you can also filter out what's important, what you want to be displayed or not. So you have a button here which you can press to go through all the little screens of the Glyph Matrix, so showing battery level. You can start a stopwatch, you can see the time, you can play spin the bottle if you kind of hold it down like this. As much as I would have liked to use the Glyph Matrix a lot more and to kind of allow it to make me more productive, I think it's actually had a bit of the opposite effect. And the reason is, if you have your normal phones, iPhone or Samsung, and you turn it over and you put it on the table, that's to kind of show that, you know, I'm not going to look at my phone. And when you get notifications, you're not alerted. But with this phone, there's no escaping it. So even if you flip it over and put it face down, you still get the notification on that little LED screen. Now, of course, you can go into the settings and you can just completely switch off this feature altogether. But then what's the point of having the Glyph Matrix? apart from, I don't know, if you want to play spin the bottle or something, which it's like a gimmicky thing. I mean, I haven't really used it. I think I used it once to kind of show my friend that it can do this. But is it really adding any true value to my phone experience? No, it's not. It's a cool feature, but I don't think it serves the purpose that it's supposed to serve. Now, that doesn't take away from, I think, how good the phone looks from the back, how good the display is, how fast it is, and it's just a great Android phone so far. I absolutely really love the feeling of this phone. So something that I love about this phone is that the layout of the phone and the font and the way that it's organized, including the widgets, which are in black and white, but you can change them to color. All of that kind of ties in with this really direct to the point digitalized aesthetic, which I'm really personally a big fan of. And I can tell that this phone was designed in London because that is exactly it. It's to the point, it's snappy, it gets things done. So now let's talk about the camera. So the camera shoots in both 12 megapixels and 50 megapixels, so you can alternate between the two. At 50 megapixels, the detail is incredible on both the front and rear cameras, giving the photos a very realistic look and feel. The colors are true to life, vibrant, and visually pleasing. The camera also delivers strong daylight and portrait shots with smooth background and a balanced dynamic range. You also have action photography mode, panoramic mode, slow-mo, time-lapse, and all of that kind of stuff, and all of them also work quite well. However, there are a couple of downsides of the camera, and that is when you zoom in, the quality does suffer. It's nothing like the worst phone out there, but it's also not really good. Also, sometimes under tricky light conditions, there can be some inconsistent color rendering, so sometimes the shot might look a bit blue or yellow, or it's changing whilst you're trying to take the photo. But overall, in terms of stills, I think the camera is honestly amazing. The night mode of the camera also looks incredible. When it comes to shooting video, you have all the key options there, so 4K and HD in both 30 and 60 frames per second. Both the front and rear cameras work excellently in terms of their stabilization. Again, incredible detail in the shots. The colors look very realistic. And something that I also quite like is that you can shoot in a bunch of different presets, so that kind of prevents having to do any color adjustments or color grading, and all the presets are actually quite usable and nice. It has a very raw, realistic, and natural look. You do have some basic photo editing features, but something that I was surprised that this phone doesn't have is AI photo editing tools, because I'm so used to sometimes, you know, removing objects from pictures or kind of just playing around with AI just for the fun of it. So now let's talk about the audio and battery life. So the audio recording quality of this phone is generally very good. It's crisp, clear. If you play music on your phone, the sound goes pretty loud, and I feel like it enhances the vocals in a song, but the bass side isn't that good, and it's a bit on the thinner and treblier side, so it's not my favorite speakers on a phone, but it's not terrible either. I would say it's pretty average. The battery life of this phone is also, I would say, pretty good, slightly above average. So if you charge it to 100% in the morning, you can get through the day. You would probably start dropping to about, I would say, 15 to 20% towards the nighttime, so about 9-10 p.m. And that's with moderate usage. So I would say generally it will last the whole day. But of course, if you are a very heavy user, then you probably may need to charge it towards the end of the day. Also, another cool feature is that you can control the level of battery percentage that the phone charges to. So they say that you should charge it between 70 to 90% rather than 100% every time for the battery health over time. So you can set a cap that only charges to 70% and it will automatically stop charging. So what is my overall verdict when it comes to this phone? Personally, I think this is a great Android phone. Glyph Matrix or not, it's just a really good, fast, snappy, gets everything done, works smoothly, really nice phone to use. The Glyph Matrix does kind of add that extra thing, and if you genuinely do find it useful and you think it's a cool feature and you want it, then this can be the perfect Android phone for you. Is there any specific reason to pick this phone over other phones? I don't think that this is marginally any better than the flagship phones out there, but I think you have to experience this phone yourself and kind of see if it's your type of phone, because I think as a standalone product, it is a pretty good product. So that's pretty much it for this week's video. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and I will see you in my next video. So until then, take care.